Hi, everybody. All right. Unfortunately today, it's gonna be very short. Um, I forgot that on the in the previous stream that today is a Saturday. And on some, not all Saturdays, but on some Saturdays, I play Valorant with my guys. So, that uh, that's gonna make this a very pretty short stream here. And we'll quickly kind of just do like a quick post game stream. But at 10 o'clock, I got hard out here. So, let me know. Anything you want to talk about really quickly? I'm sorry that I'm sure I'm not going to be able to talk to all of you guys tonight because I know some of you tune in a little bit after, like after some of the typical post game stuff is done. But we are just going to go ahead and just kind of do like a simple little post game stream here and talk about what we liked. I honestly thought the Bulls did a pretty decent job today, all things considered. This Rockets team is on a second game of back-to-back, so there is that. But I do think that their defense is very good no matter what all season long. And the Bulls hung in there. I was honestly expecting a lot more turnovers from this Bulls squad. They only had 10 turnovers today, which is good for them. I thought the Bulls wouldn't be able to play with the pace that they usually do because this Rockets team is overall pretty athletic everywhere. But the Bulls continue to get their fast break points. So whenever you can still get double-digit fast break points, I think you're doing a really good job. And the Bulls got there. They had 13 today. So Rockets typically just play a slower game, right? It's part of them, their identity of like heavily offensive rebounding, and you kind of just run some bigger lineups out there, which we saw with the double bigs with Adams and Şengün. But with that being said, I think the Bulls still did a good job. Like they did a really decent job of keeping up with keeping to their identity against this really good team. So I'm really overall happy with how the Bulls continue to stick with their identity. That's the biggest and most important thing. And then, they didn't like really fall into like the Rockets trap of like, oh, we're gonna try to really slow the game down, play a little bit more ISO, and mess up our defense. But they did a decent job. So props to these guys for hanging in there tonight and really sticking with everything. The rebounding numbers are pretty insane to look at. We got out-rebounded 71-46, and yet we were still able to stick into this one. Like, that's very, very impressive, honestly. I'm honestly shocked that's a number, but that's kind of what at least NBA.com has. The score is a little bit different, but still, the rebounding disparity was humongous, and the Bulls stuck with it. So, big props to everyone that was able to stick with this tonight, and we'll see what happens in the rest of this road trip because I was interested to see how some players are going to play during this road trip. I think this road trip is going to be kind of like a big litmus test of like, okay, what's legit from what we've seen the past 10 games and what's really not legit, what's kind of like a little flash in the pan, and it's all about consistency. One thing we did see is that Kobe continued his 20-point per game streak, so that's good to see. It was much less efficient tonight, but that's fine. He still got there. Trey Jones continues to look really good. I've been very, very impressed with him. He made 2 threes in this one as well. Played pretty all right defense, so there's that. Unfortunately, Zach Collins did not really keep up with his overall offensive output, but I do appreciate the defensive effort, especially against Şengün. He did a really decent job today. I don't know, bro. I might honestly just be a Herder and Vooch hater at this point. I don't like either of them on the floor, and I thought, Vooch hit that big 3 at the end, but I just don't like seeing either of them on the floor right now. But maybe I'm just a big hater of those two, but I think Vooch looks lost still, and I would just sit him again. But we close with Vooch. Don't know what Billy's thinking there, if he's trying to actually win the game, but we lost one. So I'm gonna keep an eye on this San Antonio game after I get done with my Valorant, after I play with my guys here. So once again, for everyone that just tuned in, it's gonna be a short stream tonight. I have to play Valorant at 10 with my guys. I'm so sorry I forgot about that. So it's hard out at 10 here. Now let's look. Kobe had a good first half. Yeah, I think overall the Bulls had a pretty all right first half, and Kobe was a big part of it. Yeah, so it's kind of flipped where Kobe usually is better in the second half. Sunk in the third. Well, the entire Bulls offense sunk in the third, bro. It wasn't just Kobe, but yeah, the entire Bulls offense definitely sunk in the third quarter. It was pretty bad overall. It's going to Viper Strike. Fun seeing the comparison made on the Rockets stream of Green and Zach, which I also see Green had a good start to the game too. Yeah, I really think that Jalen Green, like, as I know a lot of people have like really been critical of Jalen Green recently, and heading into this season as well, because it's just like, he got a new contract and everyone's like, okay, like you haven't really progressed the way that we really want you to. And it's like, you know what? I understand it, but like that's a guy that I'm not giving up on, at least for now, right? And we saw it tonight. Like, he definitely can be streaky, but I do think kind of like since the midseason point, like he's really been a more efficient player overall. And we're seeing it. Like, this is kind of what they want from Jalen Green, and we got a kind of a big, full-on front row seat of it tonight. So I do think Levine and Jalen Green are similar. They're not exactly the same because Levine is just a better shooter. But I mean, right now, I think Jalen Green's more athletic and might be a better interior finisher overall. So they are similar in a sense. If Green can just kind of up his efficiency just a little bit more, then I think they're looking pretty good with him moving forward, especially on that contract, even though it's only 3 years. So I overall think it's good. Zach's defense is so good. Yeah, I think Collins' defense was pretty solid again. He picked up 5 fouls tonight, but I do think that his defense on Şengün tonight was really impressive, compared especially to Vuce. Like, Vuce's defense was Vucevic defense, unfortunately, tonight. But yeah. We would like to have seen Giddey play this team as a test. I also would have liked to have seen it because I do think that it would have been interesting to watch, because they might have actually put, like, maybe even Steven Adams out there at one point on him because they're running the double lineup, or double big lineup. So it would have been a nice test, honestly. I would have loved to have seen it. So I'm hoping Giddey can play against Utah, but it seems like he won't from what the report we got from today. So I'll be interested to see what happens. Was there to see the 2 big men forced out, given the Rockets had the bid with Adams and Alfie there, and then they even had Jabari Smith out there too. So it was like, arguably you had like 3 bigs in a sense. You can, Smith's definitely a forward, but yeah, we had Şengün, Adams, and Jabari Smith at one point out there. It was just like, wow, that's a big lineup. And so yeah, Billy Donovan went to the double big lineup today, and they played Jalen Smith at the 4, which I wanted to see. It wasn't exactly great results. He also then put Jalen Smith at the 4 next to Vucevic, so we got to see pretty much every combo except for Collins and Vuce out there together. Oh, no, we actually saw that then in the game too. So I overall hate the double big no matter what. But I guess it was just, if you're gonna run it, it'd be against this team specifically, and not exactly amazing results, but it was a good test overall. Learn on the Rockets commentary that Adams Sheng time has a defensive rating of 76, offensive rating of 130, that they want to build into more of as Adams returns in this season. That is actually crazy. They have a defensive rating of 76. That's insane, bro. Wow. I am very shocked. Offensive rating of 130 is also insane. I would like to see the amount of minutes that lineup actually has, but I'm very shocked that's a defensive rating of 76. That means Şengün is actually doing a pretty decent job on the perimeter. And Adams really isn't that big of a shot blocker, but I mean, he is a big body, so it's just like that's very impressive to me. So wow, if they could figure that out where Şengün doesn't have to play center, then great. But I would personally play Şengün at center. But at least for the way that their identity is, playing the double bigs I think is fine, but moving forward I don't really know. I'll be so funny to watch. He is definitely kind of interesting to look at, has some interesting decisions and moves to use, especially on the low block, but it's all right. He's very effective at the end of the day, all-star. So I really like Şengün's game overall. He's a phenomenal passer, and he has really turned him, he got off to a rough start this year, but he's overall been a very solid big, and I always appreciate bigs that can pass like him, and he's very, very good. Who's looked nice. Buzell's definitely looked really good in that first half. The second half, I don't necessarily think it was all his fault, where there's some moments where Stacey's like, go to the basket and whatever. He missed some threes, but I'm not too concerned about that. Got a couple of blocks today, and they're really good. Those are also always good to see. My one thing with Buzelis right now, it's I'm seeing the moves for him, and this is where we've talked about a lot, where he just has to get stronger. But I do think he might have to start working a little bit on his timings of when to try to pull out a move. Early in the game when he had Şengün on him, and he tried kind of to ISO him up, and he did the little lefty hook over him. I don't know if that was the proper time to go to that exact move. And then if you're gonna go to that, you got to get there quicker. So it's just gonna, I think for his next evolution, it's just gonna be when he does get those opportunities to have the ball in his hands, when to take the timings to try to get, cross the guy over, or when do you pull it back out and just kind of reset. they've gone away from him really running the pick and roll, which has been a disappointment to see. But I overall, the threes he made was great. I appreciate the activity defensively. I do think he can rebound a little bit better for what we've seen recently. But I'll take the blocks if you're not gonna give me the rebounding. So yeah, overall pretty all right game from him. He had to guard a lot of different guys, so give him props there. And I think he did a pretty decent job for a really big overall team in this Rockets team. You also see a use for Zach and Smith overlapping minutes. I think the ideal time is when it's Kobe on, Giddey off, so needing rebounding more, and that's a 4-minute bit each half. Yeah, I'm overall still, it would have to be, I think, pretty situational. I wanted to just at least see it, so we got to see it at least tonight, but I think you need to, if you're going to run that lineup, you can't have Kevin Huerter out there. You're going to have to run Julian Phillips out there as well, or I guess you run Matas at the 3, because you're going to need at least some sort of perimeter defense, so you have to run Trey Jones probably out there too. So maybe that's the lineup for Billy to kind of use. These vote for that niche timing to me. I can just tell though, and maybe this is more so about lack of practice, and then instead of lack of ability to actually function. There are times where Jalen Smith is running, he's running to the dunker spot, and Zach Collins is already there, right? And it's okay, I can very clearly tell these guys have not really played together too often. And if they have practice, they're not very familiar yet. So that's probably just due to lack of practice. Maybe we see it next year more. They're both still here, but I wasn't I could just kind of tell there was some dysfunction, and I guess I should expect that, but I wasn't exactly the biggest fan of it either, because I do think that with Jalen Smith, maybe it might have been matchup oriented tonight, because it just seemed like Jalen Smith couldn't really do anything against Steven Adams tonight, or trying to box him out effectively, which that's Steven Adams at the end of the day, so maybe I shouldn't be too hard. But yeah, it's not like I can fully trust Smith to always be the rim protector in that sort of lineup. He has to kind of be more on the perimeter, and not put Zach Collins in a really awkward spot. But we'll see more of it. Smith and Collins at the floor at the same time, along with Jalen and Vooch together tonight. Hopefully is done with small ball, or was he just matching the Rockets double big lineup? He was definitely playing matchups tonight for sure. There's a lot of double bigs tonight, I think, from the Rockets that Billy wanted to match. If it was up to me personally, I don't run that lineup too often. I would especially not run the Vucevic-Smith lineup together. That lineup's not going to ever work. But I do think that it was a lot of matchups tonight, and maybe we see it more in the future, hopefully. Did Zach look good to me personally? Any big with Vuce looks bad, though? Okay, maybe I'm being too critical, but, I mean, in that time, and Smith got some open looks, but, it was just a lot of Smith just shooting threes, and it didn't, maybe, and he missed some time, but he really kind of didn't look exactly the best. He looked out of position in terms of defensively. So I'm just gonna be all right, it wasn't very great or anything. Maybe run it later, get more practice time in hopefully with it, and they'll figure out some of the little kind of nuanced things they got to figure out. They'll probably never do it again until a similar situation arises. Yeah, I mean, I don't really ever see many other teams running double bigs, so besides maybe Oklahoma City right now. But yeah, we'll see what Billy decides to do, because I really don't think it's going to be something that's going to be consistent, but I do want to see Jalen Smith play. So if that's the only way he's going to play, then sure, run it. Just don't put him with Vooch. That's not going to work. In a few games, since Kobe took one of those early shot clock logo threes. Yeah, I know a lot of people hate it. I don't actually necessarily mind it too much, and this is just me being I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with me on this, but for me personally, I hate the drive that Kobe did at the end of the game where he tried to get the foul call, and this is after the Bulls timeout and sideline out of bounds. He tried to drive it, tried to get clearly wanted the foul, he didn't get it. If you are new here, my rule is at the end of crunch time games, my rule is don't ever drive it, because if you do get fouled, the officials will never call it for you. So I would personally rather us lose by a shot that actually, you get the shot off from the perimeter, and it may be a turnaround fadeaway over two guys. But I would much rather you give yourself a chance there to actually make the shot, instead of you driving to the basket and then you actually get slapped and there's no shot of you making the layup. But it was a clear foul, but because it's at the end of the game, you don't get the foul call. So I think Kobe's decision making at the end of the game wasn't exactly the best. He had some good moments. He drove to the basket and got some makes out of it, but I thought the drive at the end wasn't, which might have not been all his. It may have been Donovan's idea too, but wasn't a fan of that. The logo 3 there, it honestly, like when I look at it, it wasn't the worst decision in the world because there was still 1:40 left. You're down 6, okay? So you taking that and it's like, okay, it's a quick shot, I get it, but if you happen to miss it, there's still time. If you make it though, that's a very quick shot, and all of a sudden you cut the lead in half. Would that be the ideal shot? No, I'm not saying it would be, but I think in overall contextually, it's not as bad as people are thinking it is. But would I run that as like my #1 priority shot? No, not in that situation. But I think it's a little bit less bad than what people are kind of like looking at it as. But it definitely kind of felt a little. It's definitely not Valentine-esque, where Valentine's like, I don't know, what was he, 33 feet behind the 3-point line with that shot, and like, you know, there's just like he's wide open, and you know he takes that sort of shot. Or I guess he wasn't necessarily wide open. He could definitely taking steps in. Kobe was running a pick and roll set, and it's like, hey, I can catch the defense off guard by shooting it like right now, and no one's gonna expect me to shoot it. It's still have time left on the clock here, and if you happen to miss it, there's still time. If you make it though, that really gets you back in the game. That's a quick possession for you to get 3 points. So it's not what I personally would have run, but I think it's, you know, I kind of look at it, I'm like, I understand at least some of the thought process. With Valentine's, I don't personally. Thanks, I was hoping you still went small ball instead of matching. No, with this team you have to run small, unfortunately. That's not his fault, honestly. I mean, I don't really think you can run Collins and Vooch personally out there. Smith and Collins could definitely be an option. Smith and Vucevic, though, no, you're not running that. So, I don't really think it's Donovan's fault. I think it's that the front office has given him a very small team, therefore you run small. Like, what is Donovan going to do? At the end of the day, though, we are running a 6'10 Buzelis at the 4 starting right now. And we're running at least a 6'7 Kevin Huerter or a 6'8 Josh Giddey at the other forward position. So I really don't think we're that small, honestly. I think we've honestly gotten bigger since the Levine trade, and that's okay. I'm not really saying, I don't really think we're like that small anymore. So overall, I'm all right with what Donovan's doing. I think it's limited minutes thing for the double bigs Rockets too. It has a place matchups. But the Rockets definitely play to that identity for sure. Like the Bulls will never play to like, oh, we need an offensive rebound heavily. Like they're just never going to play to that. Rockets play to, you know, we get offensive rebounds. We try to attack you inside. We play a little bit slower. So it's like, it makes sense. For the Bulls though, if you're running fast, then like playing a double big lineup is going to be hard for you to do that. So I personally would try to stay away from it as much as possible. They were also in commentary bringing it up that it was surprising even Alfie isn't much perimeter defender. That's my biggest fear of it, honestly. Like offensively, I'm not scared, right? I think offensively you can run Şengün easily at the 4. I said this about the Gobert and Cat lineup. Like I'm like offensively they're fine. I have no issues with it. It's the defense is the problem for me. It's because Şengün is then forced to guard on the perimeter. And with the heavy switch defense, like Şengün's probably gonna be bashed up on the perimeter at some point. So. That's my biggest fear of it. And so the fact that they have a 76 rated defense on that is insane to me. Difference in the game really was the Fred VanVleet miracle. Oh my god, that 3 at the end of the half, bro. That was an insane shot. And it was funny because VanVleet's like yelling at Smith, like, give me the ball. And like, he takes that shot and just drains it. And he looks at Smith like, see, give it to me. And I don't blame him, I guess. So yeah, that was definitely a killer. It was also a good performance tonight to me. I do agree with that Julian Phillips was pretty solid tonight. I don't think the stats really were there for Phillips, but the hustle was very clearly there in the defensive effort. Duncan Valentine logo 3. Nah. I think that was less Valentine and more of like, hey, I want to catch a defense off guard, and if we make this, like, that's a huge boost, honestly. To me, it looked less Valentine, more Zach LaVine mistake. If he makes it, it changes complexity of the defense the rest of the game, too. Give him some fighting chance. And again, like, if you make that, like, again, you're down 6, you make that, Like that's a humongous boost. You have 100 seconds then after you make that to try to make up the other 3 points. So Stacy has always hated every time Stacy thinks that they need to take a 2, he hates it when they take a wide open 3, apparently, because as I showed you guys last night with the Patrick Williams clip, that even if you're wide open, if Stacey King thinks that you should drive the ball, then he's gonna be pissed off at you. So I'm not shocked to hear that the broadcast was pissed off at the shot. I am just like, listen, that would not be my number one option. But is it like the worst thing in the world? No, I don't think it was the worst thing in the world. We've seen Kobe make that shot before, so it's not like, we're seeing someone like, I don't know, Dalen Terry shooting that, right? Kobe's made that shot before, so it's not like that we sent a guy out there and just had him take a shot that he'll never ever make. So it's probably my overall bias towards that. I think the 3-point shot, even if it's far out, is not the worst thing in the world. I know a lot of people will disagree with me on that, but I'm overall okay with it, personally. Who's also looked tired in some of the second half. Billy/Matas have said the workload's catch up to him lately. He's trying to adjust his prep/recovery. The rookie wall, huh? So I guess it's interesting because Buzelis didn't really play too much in the first half of the season. I guess now would be the rookie wall, right? Where you just kind of hit that moment where it's, a lot of games. I know Buzelis played in the G League though last year, but it's a lot of games, right? And the minutes catch up to you, and you're just not used to it. So that's not abnormal at all, right? I'm not scared about that, but I'm sure Buzelis is kind of feeling the fatigue a little bit. He's played a lot of more minutes than before. The rookie wall usually for me is always like January, kind of like late January into like heading into the All-Star break is always kind of what I'm expecting the rookie wall. But I guess because Buzelis kind of stopped playing a little bit later, it's now. So not that shocking at the end of the day, and that's okay. All I really need from him though is just continue to just go out there and just like kind of work on your defense. We saw like a defensive miscue with him and Vucevic earlier in the game. Just keep going out there, just kind of play within yourself and try to just establish that, hey, I can stay within the offense, and then defensively I'm still pretty effective. So I think I could definitely live with like less ISO Buzelis, less shot creator Buzelis for the rest of the season, if it's really starting to catch up with him, and that's okay. Just go out there and just kind of hang tough. If he is starting to really feel the fatigue, then if Donovan's not going to give him 30 minutes tonight, that's fine. But I still want him to get into the 20-minute range then. So 18 minutes tonight, like, and he's not in foul trouble like in the previous game, like that's not enough, at least in my opinion. But I can live with him not getting to 30 then. So get there at least. We need to get on those inbound passes, the Slob Wizard. I don't know if we needed Giddy on those inbound passes. I think the play call could have been better by Donovan a little bit, but overall, Giddy probably would have helped in just terms of getting the ball in. Don't know if we get a shot off of it, but I think the bigger thing is that Donovan probably should have called a better play. The Rockets were very clearly ready for what the Bulls threw at them, so it's all right. They just to stand them on our offense to take threes to open up uncontested layups. Oh, I mean, yeah, it's genuinely just crazy how much Stacey is just like when he did that telestrator on the previous game where he talked about Patrick Williams hit a wide open 3-point shot. He brought up the telestrator after the break. It was just like, look, listen, unless you're Kevin Herter or like a very good 3-point shooter, I want you to drive it here. Patrick Williams is wide open, but you should be driving it, and there's like 6 people in the lane. And Pat's wide open. There's no one within 20 feet of him, and he says, Pat should drive it here. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, bro? Like, stop. Like, I lost my mind, and I ranted at the end of the stream on Thursday. So, yeah, Pat is like, or sorry, Stacey, he'll have his thoughts. I'll have mine, at the end of the day. All right, I do want to just go ahead and just give one more shout out to this guy right here. This guy, man, I've been extremely impressed with them. Trey Jones has come in, especially into the starting lineup, and has done amazing things. I'm starting to get a little bit worried that he might be playing so well that the Bulls won't be able to re-sign him. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because what's happening right now that's gonna affect the Bulls and like how much they're gonna be willing to offer him is that Trey Jones is producing in the starting lineup, okay? Now, I don't think a contender is going to go out and give Trey Jones a bag of money to be like their starting shooting guard or whatever, but I do think that maybe one of the rebuilding teams might be willing to take a chance. So we talked about with Josh Giddey, and like there's not a team out there that has like $30 million in cap space for this upcoming offseason except for the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I'm not saying for Trey Jones like, oh, he's going to get $30 million, but I was kind of expecting that the contract for him would be kind of what he's getting paid right now. It's about $10 million a year. The thing is, though, is that if he continues to play this well and in the starting lineup, like, you know, maybe it's no longer $10 million a season. Maybe it's like up to 15, maybe to 16. And if you're a team out there that, you know, isn't exactly looking to win right now, but you want to have a guard out there that can kind of stabilize the offense, like, hey, maybe you throw like $15 million a season to Trey Jones. And it's like, is that too much for the Bulls to give to Trey Jones at that point? You know, you have to factor in the Giddey contract, but also Trey Jones is just projected to come off the bench for you. So it's like, are you going to really give a bench player $15 million a season? Like, that sounds like a lot, you know, at least in my opinion. So that's kind of like the one thing I'm a little bit nervous about when it comes to this stuff, but I'll be interested to see how this is going to unfold for Trey Jones moving forward, because I was very impressed with him today. He slowed down a little bit in the second half, but they were very clearly more onto like what he does consistently. So yeah, I just want to give a major shout out to him before I go ahead and end the stream here, as I do have to, you saw I pulled up Valorant, as I do have to go and play Valorant with my guys here. So yeah, that's gonna pretty much be the end of the stream tonight, guys. So I'm trying to log into my account. Thank you guys so much for just kind of checking in really quickly. I'm sorry it's a short stream tonight, but I do have to go play Valorant with my guys. My Twitch account isn't fully set up yet, so I'm not able to stream it just yet. I do apologize about that as well. But I think honestly we'll be doing Twitch streams soon, so if you want to watch me just kind of play Valorant, I'll be able to do that pretty soon here. If you have not already hit the like button on the stream, please do. It helps me out a lot here. And the Bulls go and play the Utah Jazz on Monday, and so of course this is the game that the Bulls should win, which means that they're gonna somehow find a way to lose this one in this road trip. So it'll be interesting to watch this game. Don't know if Markin's gonna play. Jazz has got to find 100K recently. So I'll be interested to see who is going to be playing. But yeah, I'll be definitely interested in seeing this sort of stuff. Emily Money's a backup. That's what I'm more concerned about, and that's $14 million a season next season. So I will definitely be interested in seeing what Trey Jones can get in the market. Yeah, interested in that. I think if teams are paying attention, they probably don't, but luckily for us, no one watches the Bulls. big fair, honestly. Ooh, I am recording still. I forgot to stop recording. Ooh, that's bad. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all next time. All right, stream's gonna end here. Peace out, y'all. Bye.